Good morning, my brothers and sisters, and all my friends from all over the world. This morning we are going to talk about the mystery of Madhu Vidya, why Madhu Vidya disappeared from India. As the history says, as it is being recorded in the Upanishads, the last wise man, the rishi, the great man who knew about the Madhu Vidya, and it was Yagyavalkiya, the last one, and the King Janaka, the father of Sita in the time of Treta Yuga. So it's long back when India lost Madhu Vidya. And why it happened? We are going to talk about those mysterious factors, the mysterious agents which caused the disappearance of Madhu Vidya from India, the wisdom tradition of India, ancient India. This was Lord Krishna in Dwapar Yuga. It was long after, from the Lord Rama's time, in the third era of Hindu calendar, Dwapar Yuga, when Lord Krishna tried to revive the Madhu Vidya in India. But let me tell you, my friends, Lord Krishna was the only avatar of Vishnu who was called so many bad names and was abused at every step of his life, because he was moving against the current, because he wanted to reform the whole Hindu tradition, the whole nation of India, of Bharatvarsha. And he gave the doctrine of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the family of God. The unity is God. That was the essence of his proclamation of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the family of God. Beyond any divisions, beyond any separatism, beyond any boundaries and limitations of caste, creed, color, and all kind of divisions. Later on, he wasn't very successful. And later on, Lord Buddha came around and tried to revive Madhu Vidya in India. And he was also not so successful. He gave 3 mantras. This is the holy triad of Buddha's message. When he said, Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami, Dharmam Saranam Gacchami. We could say it this way, that I go in shelter of Dharma, I go in shelter of Buddha, and I go in shelter of the union, Sangham, the union, the unity, the community. What was this mantra? These are 3 steps. When he says, I go in the shelter of Buddha, that's Brahm Vidya. When he says, I go in the shelter of Sangham, that's Madhu Vidya. And when he says, I go in the shelter of Dharma, that is the Gupta Vidya, the Satya Dharma, the everyday discipline of life, the Dharma of life, the Sudarshan Chakra of life, of existence. To create the Sudarshan Chakra, the cycle of universal benevolence on earth and universal welfare, and to create the ecosystem of peace, progress and prosperity through a cycle of universal benevolence, through the code of conduct, not only of one person, but of the whole nation. And that's how we created Bharatvarsha out of Bharat. The whole meaning of Bharatvarsha is that Sudarshan Chakra of universal benevolence through following the code of conduct and dharma, not only by one person but by the whole nation, to create the universal benevolence every moment of our existence, personally and collectively. Lord Buddha also failed. My dear brothers and sisters, why I am saying this? Because I want to emphasize that there is the biggest problem with the Brahm Vidya. And let me remind you that if the Brahm Vidya, the science of knowing ourselves and the science of knowing our image of God, an all-powerful, infinite potential and power of the human mind and the human being. But if it is not applied, if it is not applied for the universal welfare, to create the ecosystem of peace, progress and prosperity for all inclusive, for everybody, if it serves the interest of a group or a division or of a caste of few people, it turns into a curse. It turns into the greatest problem on earth. The same Brahm Vidya, which was the tool of salvation of the whole humanity, becomes the greatest curse. And why I say so? Because a Brahm Yogi, the one who is the greatest Pandit, the greatest wise man, knowing himself and the image of God, and knowing the Brahm Vidya and the essence of Brahm Vidya, the great Brahm Yogi, if he uses the science of Brahm Vidya for his own selfish glory, for his own self-aggrandizement, for his own self-gratification, the same Brahm Vidya turns into the curse. And a Brahm Yogi transforms himself into a Brahm Rakshasa. My dear brothers and sisters, there is another greatest problem with the humanity. We can digest, our stomach can digest anything. There are people around on earth of the human family, and they have experiments with many food materials. Anything they eat, no problem. We are blessed with such a great machine, the digestive system, which can digest anything. You eat it and it is done. Such a great blessing, my brothers and sisters. But only one thing, our human digestive system cannot digest. And it creates the problem of indigestion. And this indigestion results into judgmental mind, separatism, infinite pride in oneself, an infinite hunger for self-glory, infinite hunger for self-gratifications. And you know who was the embodiment of all this, what I'm talking about, the hunger for the infinite hunger for the self-gratifications, infinite hunger for the self-glory. And who was the greatest Brahm Yogi? The great demon Ravana. He was the greatest Brahm Yogi. He was the greatest Pandit on earth at the time of Lord Rama. Because that's the time Brahm Vidya was on the verge of being lost forever from this land of Bharatvarsha. And this Ravana turned into the devil, into the Brahm Rakshasa. And all he was interested in was the self-glory and the self-gratification, the self-aggrandizement, so much so that he became the enemy of everyone. He became the enemy of God. He became the companion of the devil. And he, as you all know through the epic of Ramayana, that all what he did was to fight with the God, to fight with the universal values and the universal constants of infinite circle of compassion, the greatest circle of compassion. He wanted to have everything for himself and not to share anything with anybody. And he became the Brahm Rakshasa. That is the greatest curse of Brahm Vidya. If the Brahm Vidya is not applied for the common welfare, for the universal welfare, for the welfare of everybody, all-inclusive, unconditional compassion, universal benevolence, and creating the ecosystem of peace, progress, and prosperity for one and all without any discrimination, it turns into the curse. If it is not applied for that express goal and the destination and ambition of evolutionary mandate. As it happened with the great science of yoga, we have the 8 organs of science of yoga. But if the science of yoga is not applied for the common welfare, for the universal welfare, for the Jagat Kalyan, for everybody, then the science of yoga itself turns into the curse. Because it generates infinite pride. Because it generates judgmental mind. Because it generates exclusive righteousness. That we are the chosen one. That we are the God people. And rest of the humanity is nobody. This is what happens. Me and them, the judgmental mind. This is the curse of Brahm Vidya if it is not applied for the universal welfare. And this creates the demons like Ravana and the devils like Hitler, Idi Amin of Uganda and the Pol Pot of Cambodia, the self-possessive idealism, the empty idealism. An empty idealism will always generate infinite pride and infinite problems and infinite devils around, a crop of devils on earth. So there is a warning with the Brahm Vidya that it has to be applied for the universal welfare. And what is the solution to this indigestion? How could we do that? Human beings can't digest the Brahm Vidya. They can digest anything, but not the Brahm Vidya, the knowledge. As we know, the knowledge will set us free. The wisdom will set us free. But if the wisdom turns into separatism, judgemental mind, self-possessive idealism, and empty talk, then it turns into a devil. So how to digest? We again need the help from the greatest yogi, the greatest Lord, Lord Shiva. My brothers and sisters, and my friends from all over the world, when I say the word Shiva, the real meaning of Shiva is the absolute embodiment of universal benevolence and universal welfare. There is no Shiva existing. There is no person existing. It is the embodiment, the absolute embodiment of that quality, that attitude of universal welfare, of Jagat Kalyan, all-inclusive, unconditional Jagat Kalyan, the universal welfare and the universal benevolence. So what Shiva does? To digest it, because he is the great source of wisdom of Brahm Vidya. And from his own head, the river of wisdom, the river Ganges is the symbol of river of wisdom, which belongs to the heaven. This wisdom is heavenly wisdom. Brahm Vidya, that's how it got the name Brahma. Heavenly wisdom, the wisdom of the heaven, the wisdom of the heavens. And from the head of Shiva comes out river Ganges, the river of wisdom, heavenly wisdom. The river of Brahm Vidya flows from the head of Lord Shiva. And how he digests this pride? Because with the Brahm Vidya, the greatest problem is this indigestion because of the Ahamkara, because of this infinite pride in this knowledge. This is the side effect of Brahm Vidya. So, what Lord Shiva does to take care of this problem, he becomes and he practices infinite innocence and infinite trust. His innocence is engaged innocence, engaged trust. And through the infinite innocence, the practice of infinite innocence, he can digest this great pride, the great Ahamkara of Brahm Vidya, the discourse of Brahm Vidya. So through the infinite innocence, and that's how he got the name Lord of Innocence, Bholenath. And that's how he does it. And that is our evolutionary station. The human child comes like the image of Lord Shiva, like a bundle of infinite innocence and a bundle of infinite trust. You leave the human child with the serpents and cobras. He will start playing with those, trusting so much, not knowing any danger, so innocent. My dear brothers and sisters, that's the way it got to be. And today, we are facing the same problem of Brahm Vidya's indigestion. We have reached to the singularity. This, in science, it got a term, singularity of wisdom. Through the science and technology, where we could create artificial intelligence and exotic materials through our knowledge, through our science and technology, and we have reached the singularity of this wisdom. My dear brothers and sisters, we now need to align our consciousness in 21st century to take care of this great indigestion. This problem of indigestion, of this Brahm Vidya, this Ahamkara, this pride. And if we don't take care of this pride, this problem, this disease of separatism, this disease of this temptation to say we are the chosen and others are nobody, me and them, the judgemental mind, if we don't digest it through the help of infinite innocence and trust in each other in 21st century, to create an atmosphere, an ecosystem of universal cooperation, the universal benevolence, the universal goodwill, to create the peace, progress and prosperity for everybody. My dear brothers and sisters, the result of this Ahamkara, Brahm Vidya, we have devils everywhere who are not interested to listen about the pollution on the planet, about the destruction of the biosphere. They are greatest corporations, only interested in the profit and greed and gluttony. And the only 1% of the people have taken over the whole planet as the masters of this greatest planet on the universe. How could we have the civilization, the human civilization like this? Because we are following the same path of self-destruction of Ravana. We have become the Brahm Rakshashas, not the Brahm Yogis. And our science and technology has reached to the singularity of wisdom. And we have created all the technology of self-destruction like atom bombs and hydrogen bombs and neutron bombs and you call a name. And we have all the tools, chemical weapons and the weapons of mass destruction. Look where we are. This is what the Ravana was. This is what the devil was. This is the whole work of the devil in 21st century. So the humanity has to align our evolutionary consciousness to the true dharma, the dharma of the truth. Satyat nasti pro dharma. There is no religion greater than the truth. And this truth has to be all-inclusive. It cannot be exclusive righteousness. It cannot be chosen people, we are and them. It has to be all-inclusive. My dear brothers and sisters, we need the Madhu Vidya. And tomorrow we will talk about the second part of this talk, why Madhu Vidya disappeared from India and where it went on the planet. We will talk about the whole pilgrimage of Madhu Vidya on the planet and how it was used. But later on, the same people who were benefited with the Brahm Vidya, with the Madhu Vidya, they turn into the Brahm Rakshasa. And we are facing this greatest problem of Brahm Rakshasas all around. The civilization and the culture of Brahm Rakshasas. And that is why we have this play of infinite violence, indiscriminate violence all around the planet. And we are at the verge of self-destruction. My dear brothers and sisters, so that's the message for today. And have a very, very beautiful day, my brothers and sisters, and all my friends.